So yesterday, April 8th, 2022, I got the A500 mini emulator game system. Very impressed. It came in this box, very nice, not in any way cheap or tacky looking. You get a really cool mouse that was the original one. The actual keyboard obviously is non-functional. It's a miniature, as you can see here. The buttons basically, not even keys at this point, would be tiny if you were going to use them. The actual gamepad itself and the virtual keyboard, all that stuff. I am going to talk about this with my video that I'm doing here. The controls on here, as you can see, the menu system's pretty easy to use. You can get the USB system up and running. I know this is something a lot of people had kind of queries about. You can load your own games. I talk about this a little bit in the video. You can see here, this is how I laid it out, the folder with all the games in. I just kind of bundled them all in there, but you've got a bit of creativity to do that. The menu system with the options is very, very simple to use. Some of the other options on there, like say having display options, could get a little bit of a minefield if you wanted to go into that, but it's all there. If you know what you're doing, you can have a go with it. There's been a lot of videos about this. There's one guy in particular called You've Been Gamed, based in the UK. Very good channel. I mean, no way affiliated, but I just want to give him a shout out because his videos are awesome. Anyway, here's the video with me talking about this.
Anyway, don't like buying stuff off Amazon, but seemed like one of the few ways I could get it. I wanted it day of delivery as well. So, but yeah, this is the box that comes in. A lot of people have seen this already. You got these games that are on it. It was real easy to get the games installed on it. This is the thing itself. The cables that you get with it, the power cable and the TV connection cable, which is HDMI, it's got a lot of length on it, all for jokes aside. So you can sit quite a distance away. Wasn't too difficult. Obviously, it's a non-functional keyboard. It's quite a small one. If the keys even functioned, it'd be like using a BlackBerry, with these tiny buttons. But they're all kind of laid out just for aesthetics. It's got kind of like a fake disk drive slot in there, which you would obviously, that's where you put discs. It doesn't do anything. It's too small to put an actual disc in anyway. The USB is mine. I added that. It's an 8GB one. You have to format it to FAT32, and then basically there's a what's it called? WHD, I think it's called, load or something. I can't remember what it's called now.
What kind of load is it?
It is. It's that. There's like a website basically, and it tells you how to kind of put a lot of files on this and the games. And once you've got that set up, laid out with folders the way that it has to be, you just plug it in and it appears on the menu screen as an option just to go into it, and then you can kind of browse the folders that you've put your games in. You've got a bit of kind of creative artistic license that you can kind of use your own there in terms of how you lay out your games, how you kind of put them into subfolders if you wanted to, or just put them all in one folder. That's what I did. And you can have as many as you want in here. You don't have to sort of do one game at a time and then faff around with it or anything. And you just kind of go through there and play the games. I forgot how frustrating and in a lot of cases unplayable Amiga games were. I remember now why I used to just lose it, just lose my shit playing Amiga games back in the day, because some of them are like genuinely unplayable. You'd need cheat codes just to be able to kind of get through them, and even then it was difficult. It doesn't make it easy though. The joypad, I mean, the joypad's fine, but a lot of these games, I always kind of felt Amiga games were kind of programmed to be kind of more for joysticks. Not quite sure like the history of it and so on, but that's what we always used to use. I know joypads were a thing for the Amiga, but we never used them. But it's just little things like I was playing the Batman game, and the level where you're driving the Batmobile, you have to constantly keep your finger on the forward button to accelerate, but then steering, you've got to press left and right. So kind of you want it to go diagonal, which is fine because you can press a combination of the two, but you're constantly having to go left, right, left, right, left, right. And on a pad, it don't work the same as when you've got a joystick. if that makes sense, because your thumb's only so big, unless you got like both fingers, but then that makes it harder to cut. It's unplayable basically at that point. I mean, with a bit of persistence, maybe you could beat that level, for example, but it's a bloody stretch. And the controls, just not criticizing this machine, but the actual game itself was always difficult and clunky to control on that level. You smash into something on the left-hand side, so you're pulling to the right, but you keep smashing left, smash left, smash left, smash left. It's like, I'm going right, and I'm smashing left, smashing left. How the hell does that work? The controls are just completely fucked. So, yeah, and that's even with, like, cheats as well, like cheat codes. You still you can barely play the thing. But again, that's the game itself. It was a fun game, but with a joypad, issues like that are just made way worse. I'm not saying the game was unplayable. I played it many times. I finished it many times back in the day. But with a joystick, with the gamepad, it's like really difficult and it's not enjoyable, basically. So, having said that, some other games, I was playing Lotus Turbo Challenge, which is also a racing game, and on that,
oh yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it was a really satisfying game to play as that as well. The controls were like so smooth. It actually, when you smashed into something on the left, so obviously you're going to go right, it actually goes right. It doesn't just keep smashing your left, smashing your left, smashing your left. So yeah, incredibly genius programming there, and that's the controls there. But with that one, the advantage of that is acceleration is one of the fire button basically, and then you're just going left and right. You're not having to go keep your finger on forwards and also pressing left and right because it's so fiddly. Unless you got a joystick, in which case you're just doing that. I mean, Topher does that all the time, but that's a different matter. But yeah, the joypad, it just doesn't work quite the same. Having said that, apparently there is a joystick that you can get for this. It's the Retro Games joystick that they put together, and it's modelled on, I think you can get like the transparent one, which is one we always had for the Amiga. But I can't seem to buy it on its own, not on like Amazon or anywhere. In the actual website, retrotoys.biz, I think it's called, retrogames.biz. Can't remember. Like talks about joystick, but it doesn't say where you can buy it. The only thing that I've seen on Amazon, for example, is if you buy the Commodore 64 version of this, it came out a few years ago, you get the joystick with it, and it is compatible with the Amiga 5, the A500 apparently. And I was kind of tempted to get the Commodore 64 one as well, so I might just get that and with it the joystick, if that makes sense. Does that any of that logic make sense to you, like gamepad versus joystick? I mean, that'd be up your street, wouldn't it?
Honestly, I mean, I used to use a joystick like way back in the day, but I've always more been like a PC gamer, so I'm like mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
Which I'm just kind of like used to, because I actually find it hard to play, like especially shooter games and stuff, with just like a gamepad. Like some people, like that's their preferred like way of doing it, and I'm like, but it's really shit and awkward. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think it depends on the game because, like I said, going back to Batman, the normal levels, the platform levels, pretty much fine with the joypad. I remember the joystick was just so easier. It was so much more responsive, like especially when like things are happening like really quickly. And on this, it seems like there's a slight delay on the gameplay on this as well, which most of the time, like I would say like 98% of the time, you don't really notice it. But some games like the pinball game that's built into this, is it Pinball Dreams or Pinball Fantasies? I can't remember which one it was. Pinball Dreams, that one you can see a very, very slight delay. Doesn't ruin the game, but when the ball is going really fast, that slight delay, you notice it. So I don't know quite how that applies in all games, but having said that, I say I'm really chuffed about this thing. No regrets buying it at all. I recommend buying it. It's just like the annoying little things that you get, and a lot of it is kind of just part and parcel with these being Amiga games. Obviously, the mouse as well. I remember this thing. You remember that? It's slightly smaller than the actual mouse was back in the day, but it's pretty much the same. It's what they call an optical one, isn't it? Unlike the original, which had a roller ball. But I haven't really.
Which used to be absolutely shit because you would always get like dust and crap in there and have to take it apart and clean the fucking things.
Yeah, yeah. The only game that I played that I needed the mouse for was Lemmings, and I only played that briefly. I had a bit of a sort of bit of a go through some of the games last night, and yeah, Lemmings was one of the main Amiga highlights from memory. And
I think it was one of those that came kind of packaged with it because it was like really kind of like everybody fucking had that.
Yeah, I had to download that because that wasn't included with this, unfortunately. But yeah, I'll be spending a lot of time with this anyway. Like I say, I've already spent like quite a bit of time last night and on it today for about an hour, and really enjoying it. Looking forward to going back and playing some of the others. Some other games I remember, like Paperboy, that was a really simple one. That was on like quite a few consoles and computers back in the day. We had that on the Acorn Electron back in the 80s, and on this, yeah, again, it's just so like unplayable to a degree, anyway.
The 80s, oh god.
So yeah, just thought I'd report in anyway. Like I said, the cables that come with this, I like the fact that they connect to the HDMI connector. The cable color is the same as this. Normally it'd be like black, but it does actually look like it's the color that cable would have been back in the day, rather than just a generic black HDMI cable. Yeah, well put together anyway. Like I say, I'm really impressed with this. I think this, without actually having a proper like up and running Amiga,
I think I've still got my Amiga somewhere, but like I say, even just like hooking it up, I'm not even sure how I'd fucking go about that nowadays.
Yeah, and you need the discs as well. Obviously, I mean, there's probably a way you can get like blank floppy disks or something. But yeah, you need a lot of faffing around, a lot of other sort of tech to get it working, and adapters.
And it's one of those things where like it's that old now, like it could very easily fuck up.
Yeah.
Like even if you did get it all working, had everything ready, it could just fuck up like the next time you run it.
Yeah, just won't power on or something after you've spent all that time with it. One thing that's
annoying
about
the thing with like was it Spoonie and the like Atari Jaguar? He finally got it working. Like after the Angry Video Game Nerd just couldn't get it working. Spoonie finally got it working for like one review, and he says he's just finished like getting like video for like the review he was doing, and the thing fucking died afterwards.
Yeah,
it's like it's done, it's dead. Like,
yeah, we're leaving it now.
Like bollocks to this.
Yeah, but no. One last thing I'll mention: the virtual keyboard on this. This has only happened with games that have loaded onto it, but it's quite temperamental because sometimes you'll need to like type in a code or something on the menu screen, and to get the virtual keyboard, you press the menu button on the joypad, and it just does nothing. Because again, going back to the Batman game, I was on the main screen. I actually remember the cheat code. It was jam, but with like 6 M's, and you needed to get the virtual keyboard to pop up to do that, and it just wasn't happening. I was pressing it and nothing happened, and then I'd come out of it and gone back into it again a few times, and then all of a sudden it started working. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe like a manual firmware update or something. But it was the same on Lotus Turbo Challenge. Each level has a password, and I went on to type the password in, and I pressed menu to get the virtual keyboard to pop up. And instead of doing that, it just typed the letter P. And so I'm like pressing it for the virtual keyboard, and it's just putting the password as P, 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 P. And it's like, yeah, no. And now I need the toilet as well because of all that. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I was doing wrong or what's gone wrong there. But like I said, just little things like that I need to kind of figure out. But yeah, pretty much leave it there anyway for this. Just thought I'd do an initial kind of thoughts. This isn't a comprehensive review, but yeah, really happy with it. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun with it. Some games work better than others.
Well, that's a thing of the time. Like, it's still very kind of early in video games. Like so it was kind of the Wild West for like standards of how things controlled and stuff. I mean, when you're talking about like the controls in the Batmobile and stuff, it was kind of at the point where nobody had really kind of figured it out like properly how these things should work. Like, are they going to be joystick, or are they going to be like, you know, keyboard? Like, you know, basically it was the Wild West back then.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I might possibly go back and get the Commodore 64, the Maxi or whatever you call it, the full blown one with the functional keyboard. You get a joystick with it as well. That I think would work on this apparently. So I never had a Commodore 64 though, so it wouldn't be too much of a going back. But I just kind of like the functionality of these old computers, because just as a sort of general thing, it takes you back. So yeah.
Like I say, I can remember fucking Lemmings I hated. God, that music still fucking haunts me. Syndicate, we used to have that. I used to love that game.
Do you remember Chaos Engine?
Eh?
Do you remember Chaos Engine?
We never had that one, but yeah, I know Chaos Engine, but no, we didn't have that one.
Yeah, we had that.
We had Lotus Turbo Challenge, I remember that.
Yeah, look, it's number 2. That's the one that I've been playing that I remember as well.
We had Captain Planet and the Planet Is, but every fucker had that one.
Yeah, I don't know if we had it. I never played it because it was one of the packaged ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, so like basically everybody that got that like arcade, what was it, Cartoon Classic one that.
Yeah.
That was one we had, and that was like came packaged with that. That was a bastard of a platformer because that was hard as fucking balls, as I recall.
And the cartoon was pretty crap as well, from memory.
Oh, it's embarrassing fucking 90s cheese.
Yeah.
What else did we have? Remember we had the cliffhanger game, which
Oh yeah, I've got that.
I couldn't figure out the controls for, so I literally could not get past like the first couple of screens.
Yeah, I've got that on here. I downloaded it. I never played it. As I was saying in my last video, I was more, because I'm a big movie fan, I was more interested in the movie tie-in games, and some were good. I tried the Running Man yesterday. It wasn't happening. The controls on that anyway back in the day were awful. Even if you had a cheat code so that you had unlimited energy, it was still like, I mean, if you had limited energy, you're dead. No, there's no question. You was playing the game just to die. It was just walking around was just a formality between you and dying, without the cheat code. But even with it, you're just constantly getting knocked down and knocked down and knocked down, and you just can't defeat the enemy. At least not for a good hour, anyway. And a lot of persistence, you could do it with the cheat code. But now with the dodgy gamepad controls on this, not happening. No, you need the joystick for that kind of game with that bad controls. Like I say, unless you're an artist at using like control systems that don't really fit for purpose, you know.
That was kind of a thing of the time. Like some games, like I mean, they talk about like how hard stuff like Dark Souls is now. Seriously, there were some games back in the day that would make it look like a piece of piss. Like you can actually get somewhere in that, even if you suck. Like, fucking hell, some games were just like, how?
Yeah.
Like, you would have to be like fucking perfect, like every step of the way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck did I ever play these? Because there's some, it's like, I finished this back in the day. I actually beat this fucking game, and I'll go back to it nowadays, and I'm like, this is a bag of shit. Why the fuck did I put myself through this as a kid? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Because in some games, like I think it was a Running Man, you need to jump over something. You need to go diagonally. And this doesn't have a diagonal. What do you call a joypad button? You know, where it's got not just the buttons, left, right, up and down, but it's also got like a wheel to it as well. And you usually have like a little notch, won't you, where like a diagonal one. Is it like an 8-point like pad or something, rather than just being 4 points? You've got like the diagonal.
I don't know, just like a standard thing. I don't think there's a special term for it particularly.
Yeah.
I don't know why they haven't.
But as you can see, this is just the 4 buttons, and so to go diagonally is a combination of like, say, left and up, but you have to hit it like dead on. So like on Running Man, you'll go to like the edge of a thing that you need to jump over, so it needs to be a perfect diagonal. And it just goes left and you fall. And it's no matter how many times you do it, it's like I'm pressing up and left, and it just goes left. It's
I
it's
say
annoying.
those sound very much like they were made with joystick in mind.
Yeah, exactly. So what I mean. I think that would fix this, and that's again not a criticism of the machine. Obviously, you can put a joystick with it, so that would fix it. But you don't get one with it, so I'm gonna have to sort that.
Yeah, like I said, I remember using a joystick like fairly early on, but I haven't had one for absolutely ages. Like maybe I just don't play the games that sort of need it. I got one ages back for the PC, but I just never fucking used it because I never played like space shoot 'em ups or anything that needed it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll leave it there anyway. Kind of rambled on, but yeah, pretty good machine. It cost me £115. I think it was like 120, but it had been knocked down to 115, so that wasn't too bad. But yeah, well, I'll leave there unless there's anything else you want to say.
No, not really.
Speaking of that, Paul Cage is wanting us to talk about VHS nostalgia at some point, and something about him editing his arse going up and down on video into like a rental video and like taking it back. I don't know the hell. He's got issues.
His ass going up and down. Wow, 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 wow.
That's an old Bill Hicks reference if anyone gets that. Right, anyway, I'll get off recording anyway. And so anyone watching this, you can like and subscribe if we've not offended you. And
I mean, you can like and subscribe if we have offended you. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, it's a case by case basis, I think. But yeah, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.